If you ask Elon Musk, life beyond Earth is inevitable. There are either a lot of aliens or none, and both are equally terrifying.
If you go to the Fermi paradox of where are the aliens, you've got these sort of great filters. Like, it's like why have we not heard from the aliens? Now, a lot of people think there are aliens among us. I've not seen any evidence of aliens.
Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson has echoed that uncertainty. We are not special, he often reminds us. If life arose here, why not elsewhere? Now something remarkable has happened. The James Webb Space Telescope, the most powerful space observatory ever built, has just picked up evidence that may back up those ideas in a way we've never seen before. This isn't some blurry UFO footage or speculative Martian rock. This is hard data, and it points to something truly astonishing on a distant world. The planet is called K2-18b. It's 120 light-years away in the constellation Leo. Up until recently, it was just another exoplanet among the thousands we've cataloged. But thanks to the James Webb Telescope, that changed. In September 2023, researchers announced that they'd found something strange in K2-18b's atmosphere: dimethyl sulfide. On Earth, there's only one known source of this compound: life. To be clear, this doesn't mean we've found aliens. Not yet. But it's the closest we've ever come to seeing a biological footprint on another world. Let's break it down. K2-18b is what scientists call a Haitian planet, a term coined from hydrogen and ocean. It's about 2.6 times the size of Earth, putting it in the sub-Neptune category. That means it's bigger than Earth but smaller than Neptune, possibly with a thick atmosphere and a surface covered in oceans. Crucially, K2-18b sits in the habitable zone of its star, the region where temperatures might allow liquid water to exist. Until recently, we couldn't say much more than that. But the James Webb Space Telescope has changed the game. By studying how starlight passes through the atmosphere of K2-18b, a method called transit spectroscopy, astronomers can figure out what gases are present. In the latest readings, they found methane and carbon dioxide, two compounds often associated with biological activity, and dimethyl sulfide. On Earth, DMS is produced almost exclusively by marine phytoplankton. These microscopic organisms release the gas as they metabolize. You've probably smelled it before. It's what gives the ocean that distinct sulfurous tang. The idea that dimethyl sulfide might be floating in the atmosphere of a distant exoplanet is, to put it lightly, jaw-dropping. The man leading the research, Professor Niku Madhusudan from the University of Cambridge, called the discovery mind-blowing. He was quick to add that more data is needed before making any bold claims. If confirmed, he said, it would be a huge deal. The first evidence of life beyond Earth. That's a big if. The scientific community is naturally cautious. As Dr. Joe Barstow from the Open University in the UK pointed out, the burden of proof has to be extremely high for such an extraordinary claim. The detection of DMS is still preliminary. It's based on models interpreting tiny fluctuations in starlight. There's room for error, and non-biological processes might, in theory, produce DMS under extreme conditions we don't fully understand. But even with that caveat, the implications are enormous. For decades, scientists have been trying to identify biosignatures, chemical signs that suggest life might be present. Oxygen is one, methane is another. DMS, on the other hand, is almost uniquely biological, at least here on Earth. But both can be created through geological processes, and that's what makes this discovery different. For the first time, we're not just seeing a planet that could support life, we're seeing a planet that shows possible signs that life is already there. This all comes back to the James Webb Space Telescope. Launched in December 2021, the telescope is a $10 billion marvel of engineering. Unlike Hubble, which primarily captured visible light, JWST specializes in infrared, perfect for peering through the dust of the universe and analyzing the chemical composition of distant worlds. For K2-18b, that meant peering into its atmosphere during a planetary transit, when the planet passes in front of its star from our perspective. Light from the star filters through the atmosphere, picking up fingerprints of the gases it passes through. Using this method, scientists were able to detect methane, carbon dioxide, and that tantalizing hint of dimethyl sulfide. But it's not just about one planet. This discovery opens a new frontier in the search for life. If a Haitian world like K2-18b can support conditions favorable to biology, there may be many others out there. In fact, some estimates suggest there could be billions of Haitian planets in our galaxy alone. And thanks to JWST, we finally have the tools to study them in detail. This is just the beginning. We're entering an era where we can actually observe the atmospheres of habitable zone planets. The implications are enormous. Even NASA has called the findings extraordinary. emphasizing that the next steps involve confirming and refining the results with future observations. More time on the JWST has already been allocated to study K2-18b, with new data expected over the next year. The goal is to confirm whether DMS is truly present and whether it could have any source other than life. Meanwhile, the public reaction has been electric. Headlines have shouted, "Alien life found," and signs of biology on another world. But scientists have urged restraint. The data is real, but interpreting it takes time. This isn't Hollywood. It's not aliens knocking on the White House lawn, but it might be the quiet, invisible breath of plankton-like organisms 120 light-years away. Neil deGrasse Tyson put it best in a recent interview.
We're not likely the only life forms in the universe. There's probably very many, some vastly more intelligent than we are. Here we're sitting here looking up into the night sky, countless thousands of stars. With binoculars, it rises into the millions of stars.
If the James Webb Telescope does find signs of life on another planet, that will be the biggest discovery in the history of science. It will reshape how we see ourselves, not as unique, but as one data point among many. Of course, not everyone agrees. Some skeptics argue that we're jumping the gun, that models can be wrong, and that we still don't understand enough about exotic planetary atmospheres. But even the harshest critics acknowledge that this is a scientific milestone. We've entered a new phase. No longer are we just imagining life in the universe. Now we're gathering data that might actually prove it. The next question becomes, what do we do if we do find life? Philosophers, theologians, scientists, and futurists have pondered this for decades. For some, confirmation of alien life would be exhilarating. For others, it might be destabilizing. Would it challenge religious beliefs? Would it make us feel smaller or more connected? Elon Musk, in his characteristically blunt style, once tweeted, "We are probably the only consciousness in a vast, dark galaxy. But if we're not, then we better act like we're not alone." The implications stretch far beyond astronomy. Biology, chemistry, sociology, philosophy, all of it would be touched by the knowledge that life exists elsewhere. And here's the kicker, K2-18b is just one of many targets. James Webb is already lined up to study dozens of other potentially habitable exoplanets. If we're seeing possible biosignatures this early in the mission, what might we find in 5 years? 10? What happens when we spot a planet with oxygen, methane, DMS, and maybe even artificial compounds? The possibilities are dizzying, so what now? We wait, we analyze, we look again and again. This is how science works, carefully, methodically, with patience. But the door is open, and once it's open, it can't be closed. The James Webb Space Telescope wasn't just built to take pretty pictures of nebulae. It was designed to answer the biggest questions humans have ever asked. Are we alone? Is life a fluke? Or a feature of the universe? Now, thanks to a distant planet named K2-18b and a gas called dimethyl sulfide, we might be closer than ever to an answer. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to like and subscribe. Why not watch the video on screen now for more interesting content like this?